Mr. Ross, congratulations on your nomination, and thank you so much for visiting with me last week to discuss the issues that's so important to Illinois' workers and our economy. When we met last week, I think we had common cause and our shared conviction that rule breakers should be held accountable. And if those rules are set by the international trading system, then we should exercise our rights to enforce those rules and penalize the rule breakers. And we talked at length about the impact illegal steel dumping has had on our nation's economy, and particularly in Illinois, where it has contributed to over 2,000 Granite City steel workers getting laid off through no fault of their own just days after Christmas a couple years ago. I've been pushing for stronger enforcements against violation of trade laws that make it difficult for American manufacturers, including steel, to compete. Will you work with me to crack down on currency manipulation?
Yes, I think currency manipulation is just another device, another non-tariff barrier that countries use to attack our economy.
How would the Commerce Department plan to make enforcement of trade laws a priority? And here I'm talking about timely enforcement before workers have lost their jobs. You and I spoke a little bit, and I told you the story of U.S. Steel in Illinois, where because of illegal dumping of foreign steel, they had to cut down production, laid off all of those workers. But the steel company itself that was going into bankruptcy had to take on the responsibility of bringing the case to the international court system. And that is, I feel, an unfair burden on these companies that are already suffering from the currency manipulation, the dumping of products by competitors. At the same time, their competitors abroad don't have to take on that burden. Can you speak a little bit more to this process?
Yes, as we discussed, Senator, I like the idea of occasionally using self-initiation by the Department of Commerce to bring these cases. That will shorten the duration of the preparatory time, and if we're also stricter about not granting extensions to the perpetrators. Historically, the people who've been the dumpers refuse to comply on a timely basis with requests for information. I'm not going to look, if confirmed, I would not look very kindly on the perpetrators deliberately delaying cases by not providing information.
You had mentioned the potential in our meeting for having a special liaison in your office or someone who would work to be the point person, and you can correct my phrasing, for bringing forth these cases when American industry is being unfairly burdened, so that it's not on the shoulders of U.S. Steel to bring the case to the international court system, but that they have someone in commerce who's already looking out and able to be that point person. And can you talk about how you would set up that, I don't know, it's a person, an office, what the relationship would be to you as secretary?
Right. Well, first of all, we're not going to self-initiate every case. We don't have the staffing to do it. But I think by picking strategic cases and initiating them, it will, A, send a message to the people on the other side that we're getting more serious about this. Second, it would definitely accelerate the process, and therefore I'll figure out some way, if confirmed, to allocate people power to that activity. It will be a much more important activity if I'm Secretary of Commerce than it had been historically.
Thank you. I think for the families of those steel workers, time is of the essence. They're the ones who are missing mortgage payments. They're the ones who now have to tell their children, you can't go back to college because we can't afford tuition. They're the ones who are about to lose their homes. So anything that we can do to speed up that process for any of America's industry, not just the steel workers. I'd like to shift a little bit and talk about the Minority Business Development Agency. What new support will you give the MBDA to answer the growing call for a larger footprint of services so more minority businesses can grow through M&A and high-tech opportunities?
Well, I think it's an essential thing because those are some of the industries of the future. I think what we will need to do is to find people who have the technological capabilities. And as you and I discussed, one of the problems is our educational system is stinting on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math courses. And we're also stinting on vocational training. So one of the problems is there's a lack, particularly in some of the minority communities, of the capabilities to do that. And that's a very serious problem. We can hope to cope with some of that with apprenticeship programs. We as a country are the worst in the OECD on having apprenticeship programs. We're also the worst on having vocational training. So I think we have to have an overall approach to solving the problem of making sure that people are qualified to do the technological innovation.
Thank you. And if there's a second round of questions, I would definitely be asking about what are you going to do for existing minority-owned businesses today? I'm out of time, Mr. Chairman.